All right, y'all. So with the Dokkan Battle 10th anniversary being very, very close to starting, I'm going to go ahead and make a final top 10 LRs tier list before the anniversary. And then I think during the anniversary, I think for the part 1 LRs, I will make an update, but it'll be more so of like a Z tier, A tier kind of thing. And after the anniversary ends, when we got all the easy LRs and things like that, I'll be revisiting a top 10 tier list again, and we'll see how things have changed, right? This is my idea of like, okay, a before screenshot of what I think the meta is right now, and then an after screenshot, right? And, there's a lot of different characters that could contend for this list. I mean, well, some of these characters, like these two aren't here. I just put them in there just because. But I think there's an argument you can make for quite a bit of these characters to actually find this list. In fact, because of that, I actually do have two characters in honorable mention that I do want to talk about, because I think you could make the argument to switch them in for some of the lower spots. But once we get to like even 7, I think that's like a concrete block of like these characters are here, and I don't really feel like you could exchange them, right? So anyways, we'll just hop right in with our honorable mentions, and the first one I'm going to talk about is EGLLR Jiren. Now, I think the thing about this character is really his base form just doesn't really do anything special. I do like that he essentially interrupts the attacked enemy for one turn, which is action breaking. So one of their attacks that are aimed at him will be basically broken, which could be useful in a lot of different scenarios. It is only on his first turn, but yeah. Besides that, I mean, he does have 60% reduction, decent defenses, right? But he's not going to be doing anything crazy. It's when you get his standby out where Jiren is like really, really good, because I mean, I'm sure you guys hear people say all the time, this character has no cap on his reduction. So if you get him 5 key spheres, he has 100% damage reduction. And whilst he doesn't attack, he's still supporting, all allies key 3. And if you do end up having him in slot 2 or 3, he does give a 2-turn 70% attack buff, which is a lot of attack to provide for a multiple turn support buff. So, if you're running him on Tournament of Power, you have your Ajo UI Goku and then Tech UI Goku rotation. This guy in a standby floating around will make Ajo UI hits so much harder. Tech UI's counters will go crazy, right? It's kind of the idea behind it. And he's just a perfectly safe character there, which is really funny. When you get into full power Jiren, he's good, but again, I think the thing about this guy is he's more of a finisher for the phase. He's not doing anything like, I think, honestly, I feel like I like the standby Jiren better with what he's doing in terms of his invincibility. And I think that maybe they could have given this guy, instead of the extra reduction turn 1, they could have given him guard and then make him like a slot 1 sitter right there. Because I think based on the type of unit he is, he's not going to be supporting anymore. He's not going to be invincible. He trades it off for damage, but I think, maybe he wants to take a super attack to do the real big damage. If they gave him guard, I think that would make him a very consistent slot 1 character so that he could actually eat the super attack, get this huge attack buff, and then like he'll hit really hard. Maybe an additional 2, but nothing really crazy. I think, yeah, but either way, I think his influence is pretty good, and the invincibility that he has, that could be for 5 turns. It's a very long time. Is really, really nice to see. Then I also do have Int Blue Evolution Vegeta in honorable mention. I think that this character, I am taking into account a little bit the new events that are releasing during the countdown of the anniversary, just because I think that will carry on into the anniversary a little bit. And I'm not going to take too much into account of it, just a little bit, because those bosses have a lot more HP than usual. Like you could feel it, like these events are so much longer with the current characters that we have. And I think that's because, we're going to enter a little bit of a power creep jump during the 10th anniversary. That happens every single anniversary, right? So with that, this guy's revive condition is a lot more easier to get, and that is a team protector ability. But even then, if we really count mostly the events prior to the countdown of the anniversary, I think it's difficult sometimes to get this guy's revive. You do have to build him up as well. There's a lot of moving pieces for this guy. Once he's like built up with the revive and everything like that, he's sitting in slot 2, especially. Like, this guy is very difficult to kill. And even if you do kill him or someone on the rotation, again, he has the team protector mechanic. But yeah, he's not like as concrete like slot 1 through the entire battle as he was during the 9th anniversary when he originally came out. Now we're a full year later, right? And again, he's still very good. You know, turn 1 especially, he does have the guard plus the up to 80% reduction, which is a lot, right? So I do like this guy. I just feel like, you know, as time passes on, there's just other characters that are superior to him. It's not that he's bad, right? Plus, we are getting a new character of this name. I don't think that doesn't necessarily like influence where he's gonna be. I think if he's that good, he's that good. But you know, that's something else to talk about. You know, this guy's best partners, which could be on this list, may get better because of that, while this guy will not, right? I guess that's one thing you can consider. It's not this guy getting worse, it's the other characters around him getting better, right? So that's my honorable mention. I would put Blue Evolution above Jiren personally, but I think you can make the argument for either one of these two like being above each other. All right, then we'll go to our next spot, which is the Super Saiyan Goku, Gohan, and Trunks. These guys, I think during Worldwide, were arguably number 1, and I feel like you can't really make that argument anymore. When they originally came out, there was not another character competing for them with a standby. But now they're best teams there is. And I think that is something important to consider when it comes to like how good this character is. I mean, if you don't run the other character, which is on this list, you know, I'm sure we know the family Kamehameha Gohan. This guy is like invincible. And he could do like a very good damaging attack, honestly. I think the only thing is that this guy doesn't have built-in crit. So that kind of does suck a little bit when it comes to that. But this character is providing basically, if you're running double vert of this character, 154% defense support. You do need movie heroes are all out struggle, but it's not like those categories are really difficult to have on the team, right? I mean, there's a lot of good characters that are even fitting this list. I mean, movie heroes again, Tech Gogeta, this Gohan, this Goten Trunks, this Gohan right here, Beast Gohan, you know, even physical LR Blue Gogeta. These guys wouldn't count because, you know, it is other characters. Even Super Saiyan 3 Goku. We could take a look here. There's Blue Evolution Vegeta here, Blue Kaioken Goku Evolution Vegeta. You know, the new LR Super Saiyan 4 Goku might actually be on this category potentially. Well, actually, will he? Is it because of Oob that he's on this team? Because, yeah, the other Super Saiyan 4 Gokus are not. So the new Super Saiyan 4 Goku might not fit. If we got a Part 2 LR Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, that would fit this category, right? Well, it is full power Goku here. Is it because he's full power? If that's the case, yeah. This guy might easy A the Kaioken Goku, right? So there's some options that are even upcoming in the future. But again, if we're talking about right now, All Out Struggle isn't really the best, but the movie heroes category, there's a lot of options there. So I don't really think it's difficult to get this extra damage reduction and 77% defense, but it does restrict your team building a bit compared to, I think, other units on this list that are more freeform, right? They could kind of slide into teams without as much worry, right? Or maybe they had the restriction, but it's a better restriction, right? If that makes sense. So I don't know. What would I change about this character? Honestly, they're super effective against all types. Doesn't really matter. Maybe instead of super effective against all types at 24 key, I would rather them get a defense raise on their super attack effect. Does that make sense? Because like this character isn't really a character that's going to do damage. I feel like this character to me is like a slot 2 kind of supporting character, while also, you know, providing extra defense to the floater potentially. I mean, if you could put him a slot 1, he's providing extra defense to the entire rotation. And, you know, I guess it's not like he does 0 damage, but I feel like, you know, if you're aiming for this guy's standby, you might build him with some critical hit in his kit, because he can't crit on the standby, which is the main attack that he'll do damage with, right? So I don't know. Personally, I think the extra defense here would be nice, just cause of what he is as a character. You could float this character around, but I think keeping him on rotation is best because it's a 2-turn support buff. But either way, yeah, I do like this character. I think they're very good still. I feel like, you know, there are some situations where they can get hurt, but in most situations, if you're running them in slot 2, they're not really gonna take a lot of damage. But shocker, a lot of the characters in this list are characters that can be run in slot 1, right? Now next at 9, we have Tech UI Sign Goku. So I think originally I actually had these guys above Tech UI Sign, and again, this is where I'm taking into account a little bit the new HP for the bosses, because the current bosses that are in the game right now, they're still pre-10th anniversary bosses, though, in my opinion, because it's just the countdown. This guy, it's so much easier to get his domain out in those fights, just because, again, the fights are so much longer. And I think the reason this guy's not higher on this list is I'm not really a big fan of his pre-domain form where he's just UI sign. I think he's very basic. He's doing just the standard things that characters do now. He has a bit on additional. He has built in crit. The 70% dodge is nice. I think this is really good right here. This is something that makes him stand out compared to your normal dodge or die characters. He could still take a lot of damage if he doesn't dodge, but I feel like there's a lot of situations where he doesn't instantly die, unlike some other characters, and he'll likely age better than a lot of these other dodge or die characters because of this mechanic. But it's not a thing where I'm like, oh, he's invincible. He still will take damage, especially if he gets hit twice. Like, even with this 15% reduction in guard, like, he takes damage from normals. Which, is a thing, right? I can't speak, which is really funny. I do like that he has the slot 2 or 3 viability for the future, though. And yeah, once this runs out, you pretty much want to really domain with him. If you don't domain with him after this runs out, you could see a difference. And, especially in these longer events, you could see that could be an issue. I think issue is also really the 5th turn from entry turn could be a little weird to get in the fights that are currently prominent. Like Goku and Frieza, I would still say they're the hardest fight in the game right now. It could be a little annoying to get this out by the time that, the 17 of Frieza phase, and then maybe you're stuck with this guy and he can't domain and he can't dodge, right? Now, the domain ability is really strong, and it's just going to get better during the anniversary because we're going to get some Realm of Gods characters. The blue evolution Vegeta. I think that there's a possibility that one of the Part 2 LRs could be a blue fusion, right? We're not going to count that out of the picture, right? So, if that's the case, he's the only character in the game that could take away the boss's nullify, what's it called, guaranteed hit, which essentially, or some bosses can essentially nullify attacks that are, no, how to explain. Some bosses can disable dodge and he could take that away. I keep being stupid. Once you get to Tech UI transforms, I mean, he has a turn of guaranteed dodge. He gets up to 77% chance dodge. His counters could do quite a bit of damage still, right? He does have a 20% reduction, I guess, right? Which is cool. Actually, no, he has 60% reduction before receiving an attack, my bad. And then even after he receives an attack, he has the guard, so he still has that kind of ability, which I think is something that a lot of people don't really talk about. Even if he doesn't dodge, he still has that 60% reduction on the first hit, or then plus the actual guard after that with the 20%. This is something that you don't really see too often, but if you enter the turn under 50% HP and you have his dodge fully built up, he's at a 97% chance dodge. Plus he gets an extra attack buff, right? Which I feel like by the time you get this guy out in a lot of fights, the fight will be basically almost over. So that's a thing. And plus with him providing dodge to all allies for the first turn, right? You can see he provides 10% dodge to all allies. That is a supportive ability. It's not like a team protector mechanic in the fact that like, oh yeah, your characters are guaranteed to be protected, but if you have other dodge characters, it can't help that out in that aspect. And again, in these longer fights, I was able to get to a point where in the Namek fight against the Vegeta Story Red Zone, I was able to get both Tech UI Gokus out, which is crazy because I think basically you don't really see that in any other fight in the game besides like those fights, like the new ones that just last so long. So yeah, I think that bumps this guy up a little for me. And just in general, I think he's doing quite a bit. This good link set, good leader skill as well. Do I like this guy's leader skill better than these guys? I think I would. I think I do like this guy's leader skill better. And obviously these two are not really, well, this guy's leader skill is pretty good too, but like this character is just a better version of his leader skill pretty much, right? So there we go with UI Sign Goku at our number 9 spot. Now we can move on to our next spot, which is of course the Int Legendary Super Saiyan Broly. We can go ahead and start clearing these out right here. At this point, we don't really need to talk more about them. Int Broly is what I kind of referred to with that like restriction of, the Super Saiyan Goku, Gohan, and Trunks. The thing about this character is I think he's doing more than people really realize he's doing, which is interesting. Like he provides 40% defense to extreme class for 4 turns on his entry, which is his entrance animation. If you're running 2 of these guys as your leader, that is 80% defense for 4 turns. And I think that that is quite impactful for a lot of these characters with all these different phase buffs. Like again, we have the basic effects, then we have the when attacking effects or when receiving an attack. These two will multiply against each other. This will feed into the basic effects for these characters and then make this, when attacking, etc., a lot higher, right? At the end of the day, your stats will be way higher with that. I think that's really important. 60% reductions is a nice baseline at this point for a lot of characters. He can heal. It's really this domain ability where this guy is good or like okay, right? Honestly, without his domain, he's just a whatever character. But the whole point is that you run him on this team and he has his domain. I mean, Goku family category enemies, there are some bosses we're getting like the Kauken Goku, right? That just came out. You could use this guy's domain anytime. Or again, if all allies are uncontrollable power. Now, either way, he buffs uncontrollable power mostly by his domain, so you want to run most of those characters. Anyways, uncontrollable power is a really good team. They buffed this team really, really nicely. This new Buhan's insane. STR Kid Buu is really good. You know, Majin Vegeta, if you get him to transform, he's super good as well. Tech Majin Buu Ultimate Gohan, Physical LR Super Janemba, Super Easy Broly, like this Bio Broly is really good. Like all these characters, except for Imp Broly's, are like really good, right? Cell Max is good. You know, Physical Kid Buu, you can get away with them. All these like Majin Buu characters, these two right here, like there's a lot of good characters on this team, even though it's a smaller category. They built this team up very well. Another character that'll fit this team is the new Super Saiyan 3 Giant Ape Goku LR that's coming out. Now, I assume he will be, like, obviously as a super class character, he probably won't fit this team too well, but not saying that he can't. I mean, again, he does increase damage received by super class allies by 15%, which is a lot. And if it's a movie heroes, it'd be 25%. But I don't think that necessarily will potentially ruin you from running that Goku on this team if he's, like, that good, but either way, he gets the guard, so the guard plus 60% reduction, orb changing, attacks effective against all type, doesn't really matter. I mean, with the game currently right now, he dies in like very, very, very little scenarios. I think he dies in a scenario where 99% of characters will die, which is like a instant super attack from that Super Gogeta movie memorial boss. Even in the new like red zone stages, he doesn't die. I don't see him really dying because guard plus 60% reduction is just so good. And if you get, he has a turn 5 revive for free. Like from the 5th turn, he could revive, and it could be not only just him. If your slot 3 unit dies, he will revive for you, and then he heals, and then he gets a buff. He gets all these buffs, and then he'll start supporting. It's really crazy. So even if we get to the point where, yes, on turn 5, this character will get one shot in slot 1, he just comes back way stronger. And even the friend Broly would come back way stronger. This 60% defense when you're assuming an attack, that is a huge buff that we don't even see from this Broly yet, because there's no situations where he actually does die without it, right? So that's really funny. But yeah, I have this Broly. He could get better during the anniversary, honestly. Like, he's a character that I think he will age depending on uncontrollable power, but I think that he himself, like, if the team stays consistently good, he will be cooking still, man. He like, because again, we can't even get a lot of this, right? So once we can, it might be crazy. Next, we have Super Saiyan 3 Tech LR Gotenks. I think this character is just all around good. He's like an inoffensive character. I think he's just very easy to use. You do want to make sure there's another final trump card ally. I mean, we already know there's a Vegito coming that's on that team, so there you go. But there's still a lot of good final trump card allies on his Majin Buu Saga team, which he leads for 200%. It is a really good leader skill, by the way. And I don't know, he's just very easy to use. Yeah, I mean, he's Rainbow Orb changing. You want to get him to 24 key. And that's like almost like effortless to get with his Rainbow Orb changing, considering that he gets extra key per key sphere. I guess the only thing is that if he's in slot 1, sometimes he could have issues. We are getting a lot more Ki Blast super attack characters in the new red zones that are coming out, so I think this is good, right? And I think we've gotten a lot of Ki Blast super attack like nullification characters over the past few months, or counter characters that counter Ki Blast super attacks, and we're seeing a lot of those bosses have Ki Blast super attacks. So I feel like these characters are built with the new anniversary content in mind. He also does have the 50% chance to just basically eat super attacks completely, right? With the 777% multiplicative defense. He's guaranteed critting, doing so much damage. He has the active skill, which does even more damage and gives him way more defense on top of that. So on his active skill turn, he gets slot 1, 100%, right? And then post super attack, he doesn't like die. So this guy's just good. I don't know. He's just good. There's not really a negative to this guy besides he can't really slot 1 in every single scenario. And then even sometimes if you have to, if you get this proc off, he can because he won't die. So inoffensive character, just really good. Doing everything well, right? But he doesn't do anything like how do I say, like besides the like quote unquote nullification here and these two things, he's not really doing anything special that's like, well, he's also rainbow orb changing. That is helping the team. So I don't know. Yeah, I think like something like if this guy had like a team protector, would he be the best character in the game? Yeah, probably. But yeah. We'll move on next to AGL UI Goku, which might surprise people with this guy being a little high like this. And I think you could argue Gotenks above him. I think, you know, at the end of the day, a lot of this list could be argued. But I like AGL UI Goku just because I feel like he's gonna be overall, I don't know, like Gotenks is also orb changing. It's hard. I really like this turn 1 dodge with this guy. And I think this character also, like, he doesn't have any restrictions compared to Gotenks, who does have the, you know, final trump card restriction, which is not bad. I don't think that category is particularly like great right now. Does that make sense? Like, it is not a bad restriction, but like, you know, let's see, let's take a look at the characters on that team, and I'll show you guys, because you think of final trump card as like, oh, all the fusions are here. It's like AGL Super Vegito is decent, right? You're not really running this guy on the extreme class side of Majin Buu Saga, so I don't really count these characters. Attack Gogeta is really good, right? Physical Super Saiyan Gogeta is also quite good, but then like after that, like the units you would run him with kind of fall off. I mean, Super Saiyan 3 Dragon Fist Goku is not bad, but again, he's not crazy. Like these roster characters, besides this character, and even this character is like, you know, he's good, but he's not crazy anymore like he once was. There's a lot less options, and until that Vegito comes out, we don't even know how good that character might be. I assume he'll be like top 3 in the game, but yeah, I mean, if we're talking about the Majin Buu Saga team, it's either double Gotenks that you have to run, or you have to run this guy on the team, right? Well, it's HOUI. I think, you know, you just place him in any situation, and like it's very rare that he dies. I died with him once, and that's against he got hit by a Ginyu super attack, and he had a 97% chance to dodge in that situation, because I had Tech UI's domain up and he dodged once. So no, he had a 6% chance not to dodge, and he didn't dodge. That was just more so like unlucky, right? But like this guy doesn't die in like a 99% of scenarios, I feel like, especially with his turn 1 guaranteed dodge. I think that's just so huge. And I would assume that we're going to get bosses that will be strong instantly during the 10th anniversary. You know, usually over the past year, we have gone stuff like that. He has the revive skill, which is a team protector ability. If your HP is 77% or less, I mean, you could realistically, if this guy's turn 2, get hit with a really hard super attack, he's protecting the next rotation. Guaranteed, right? If you die, like, you won't die. Does that make sense? And he gets a buff when a revive skill is activated. And if it's his own revive skill, he gets another turn of guaranteed dodge. Like, that's really good, right? On top of everything else he's doing. His damage is not like, you know, the best in the world. Like, oh my goodness, Tekel or Broly, easy A level of damage. But this guy is still able to do some really nice damage because of his additional chance, right? You can get a triple super, do like, you know, a total of like a 50, 60 mil attack stat probably, right? Is what I can see from this guy, especially if he'll survive. That's where this guy can start really doing really good damage. But yeah, no, active skills are easy to get. He is supporting allies crit chance by 7% for 2 turns, and then if anyone's in slot 2, right? So like if you have this guy slot 1 and then Tech UI in slot 2, like Tech UI is gonna be basically guaranteed critting almost, right? If he gets a triple super. So yeah, I don't know, this guy's just so easy to use. I'm a huge fan of this guy. I might be a bigger fan than a lot of people potentially, but I think you guys kind of see the point. Like compared to Gotenks, I feel like I've had more situations where Gotenks dies compared to UI Goku. It's kind of the end deciding factor for me. And plus that team protector ability is just really good. We're going to start getting characters with just all these team protector abilities, right? Number 5, we have STR Super Saiyan Gohan. You could argue AJY above him. I think you can make the argument, honestly. The thing about this guy is, again, it's kind of like he's a better version of Jiren with his standby. Does that make sense? Where I think this guy's standby, he does need super class allies in the rotation, but that's not hard to get. And then he has 77% reduction with guard. You give him a few key spheres, like he's not dying. This is not, it's not happening, right? If you give him like at least like, let's say 5 key spheres like Jiren, like this guy is getting 250% defense multiplicative. He's gonna be fine, right? And you know, he gets this attack buff for his, you know, finish skill. This will be start of turn, and this multiplies against this. Like the finish skill starts hitting really hard. If you get a lot of charges with this guy, this finish skill can one-shot almost every boss in the game. And I say almost because I've had a situation where he didn't actually one-shot the final form Frieza boss because he had so much HP. And we had a good amount of charges because we waited for this guy's 5th turn. But then like you have I guess you technically have 2 turns of invincibility because the 5th turn you would use the standby skill because I think that's more beneficial than to not use it and keep the extra 10 or tanking. It depends on the situation, but if you really want to, you can keep this guy in this invincible form for 5 turns, which is really good. The only thing is that his base form kind of is like he does decent damage because he has to build up towards it. At the end of the turn, he could do like a 17 mil, basically like 12 key super attack, which is really funny. He is super effective against all types. If he falls low on HP, he does also get the ability to dodge, a 50% chance to dodge, which, you know, we'll take that, right? The 50% chance to dodge could be very useful. I've had situations where he eats a normal from Janemba, then he falls under 77%, then Janemba super sim, but then he dodges because he gains this, right? So that's good. And this restriction is not hard to get. Kamehameha, Earthbird Fighters, like those are the characters you're running this guy with, right? So all in all, this guy's good. I just think it's like turn 3 is where he's like, yeah, he's cooking. You could get it on his first turn though. If you're onto the turn under that HP threshold, you could get it instantly. So that's something else to consider. I just think that overall this Gohan is going to be doing more than UI Goku, especially because, again, this Kamehameha, even though it didn't one-shot Frieza, it did like 6 health bars. So it still like does so much damage to these bosses, even though they have like 200 million HP, right? This guy is still coming in there like, nope. Good luck, buddy. Good luck, man. So yeah, no, family Kamehameha Gohan, dude. He's quite good. He's really good. And that is number 5. So number 4, this might be controversial. I have Tech Gogeta here. A lot of people like Tech Gogeta 1. And could you argue him as one on this list? Yes, you could. You could make a very good argument. Where is he? There he is. You can make a very good argument for Tech Gogeta 1. Very, very good argument. The thing about this guy too... Oh, this is the wrong character. The thing about this... I'm stupid. The thing about this character to me is, compared to a lot of the characters above him, he has slot 2. Slot 3 for the first 4... No, for the first 3 turns of battle, because in turn 4 you could fuse with him, which is something I do want to consider, because I think the idea with this guy is you float him off and he comes back and then he gets fused, because if you keep him on rotation, it will be the first 4 turns until turn 5, so you kind of like float this guy off instantly. And then once you get Super Gogeta out, man, he is like best character in the game. Like this guy would be the character, like just Super Gogeta would be the character I'm like, yeah, he is just best character in the game because he's just doing so much. He has the Scouter, he has the Rainbow Orb changing, he's invincible in slot 1, he's guaranteed critting, he healed you, 30% HP is really good, no issues with ki, he could get a nullification, he also has a 50% chance to dodge any super attack in the game. He's just doing so much and his stats are just so good. Right, is really it. He also has guard. So before he attacks, he has 80% reduction plus guard with the 50% chance to dodge anyways. Like, hello, he's crazy. He's crazy. He's doing so much. Out to the only thing he doesn't have is an actual team protector ability, but he has a scouter. So if you're running a team, you could like make sure, oh, this character would die to a super attack in this rotation, but I have 2 other characters that would live it, or just this Gogeta in general, just you could place him where the super attack is, right? because this guy won't die to a super attack, right? He'll be fine. So I just really think it's the fact that it can take him a little bit of time to actually transform through a battle, especially in these shorter fights. You don't really see Super Gogeta almost, I feel like. But that's really it. I mean, he would stack attack eventually, which is cool. There is a situation where I did die with this guy turn 1 instantly, again, against the Super Gogeta boss. But like I said, I think that boss one-shots like almost every character. Like instantly. Like even Tech Beers. Like so many characters will just instantly get one-shot and killed by that character. I think the only characters that could live that like instantly are like Super Saiyan 3 Angel Goku and then like Tech Broly. Unless it's a dodge character like Angel UI would also live, obviously because he dodges, but yeah. Because its base range to me is like inoffensive, right? He's orb changing, like he has good defenses overall with the 70% reduction or 60% reduction, my bad. But like, I'm not like, you know, oh yeah, base Tech Gogeta is so good, you know, he's like fine, but this is this guy is like, you know, he's crazy. But that's why I don't have that one personally, because I think the next 3 characters I like better because they're better instantly. Physical Janemba. This is a lot of people will disagree with this. I think a lot of people don't like this. I mean, in my opinion, you could argue this guy's one too. Like, I think you could argue any of these characters basically upcoming as one. I think the reason why you could argue this guy potentially is one is because I think he's like his turn 1 performance is so good. And he also has a team protector mechanic later on in the fight, which is really, really good. I think turn 1, like Angel UI and then like Tech Broly would be better. But then this guy eventually getting the team protector mechanic. This guy, he has the great chance to nullify Ki Blast supers. You know what we've been getting in those anniversary fights? A lot of Ki Blast super attacks. I talked about that earlier with Gotenks, right? If this becomes more common, this guy could even move up. Because the 70% chance to nullify Ki Blast super attack is so good, right? It could be so good. And you know, once this guy especially is built up, like his defense is so good, right? With the guard plus 22% reduction and the amount of start of turn defense he has, he could start looking really crazy. And it's like his damage is not bad either. Like he has pretty solid damages. Again, turn 1 he has the high chance to dodge enemy super attack. So there's situations where like I just have this guy, he does live against the Tech Super Gogeta boss turn 1 because he just could dodge the super attack, right? And then once he builds up, or especially once he super attacks, he has no chance, right, to take damage, which is the case with most units on this list, right? But then turn 6 with 66% HP more, he can get the rage mode. I would say the thing about the rage mode is it's only 1 turn. So there are circumstances and certain bosses that counter this where he actually won't cancel the super attack, quote unquote, because it's only 1 turn thing. So if the boss does not super that turn, then this kind of sucks. Or if the boss could like double super and he only does 1 super attack, there still is another super attack that you could get hit by. But I mean, in a lot of situations like Goku Frieza, this guy says, yeah, you're not supering me actually. GG, buddy. And it is a team protector ability. So like, even if they don't super slot 1, he cancels a super attack that would have been aimed at your slot 3 character. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's gone. It's gone. I think Janemba, honestly, is probably one of the more underrated characters. He's doing a lot, more than people are thinking. And I think maybe like if he had, I don't know, like would he need another ability? Like imagine they added Rainbow Orb Change to this guy, because so many of these characters up here like Rainbow Orb Change or something. But or imagine if this is like turn 4. Ooh, that would be really good. That would help even in short content. But yeah, no, I like Janemba. And then his rage mode, you know, he does pretty nice damage. Like he makes the entire Kisfer too physical. So like that first attack could do some pretty like nice damage with his crit. So you know, I've been a fan of this guy. I just think, to me, it's like Super Gogeta transformed is better. But I think I like this Super Janemba throughout the entire fight more compared to Super Gogeta throughout the entire fight is my final verdict. And that's why I like Super Janemba better. Next we have Tech Broly. Tech Broly, my goat, my beloved Tech Broly. I mean, again, this guy could also be argued as one. He's invincible. He's not one. He's not dying. Guard with 90% reduction. Like this guy in turn 1 will be good. This guy turn 1 slot 1 will be good in like 3 years. Like how do you power creep this? Like this is actually impossible to power creep. Like I don't see this, like I don't see this base tech Broly like being power crept in terms of turn 1. I just don't see it. Like I just don't really see this guy getting power crept. And he's supporting 2 extreme class allies for 1 turn as well. So he's if you put him in slot 2, he also gives them all 50% crit chance. You could transform whenever you want. Like it's literally no restriction. And then this guy, like I think this guy is a character where it's like, okay, he has 76% reduction with guard. It's going to be very hard to H him out. But I think there is more of a chance that this guy would get H'd out eventually compared to like the base tech Broly. Because like 76% reduction is a lot. It's a lot. And it's going to be very hard. But compared to 90% reduction, right? I think there's a huge difference there. 100%. But like it's going to be very difficult to age this guy out too. And he's also doing a lot. I mean, oh my goodness. He has a nullification. He gets all this additional. Once he's building up, man, like, and then he gets this off, this active skill. Where's it at? I just skipped past it. He gets this active skill. He starts doing some really good damage. He's just very tanky. Like, he's the most consistent character in the game, I think. Like, you could argue this guy's the most consistent character because, like, he only will get stronger pretty much. Like, and in terms of slot 1 tanking, he never loses defense, except like when you go from base form to Super Saiyan, he does lose defense, right? But like, and I guess to be fair, after the first 3 turns, he does lose this, right? Being fair, I just don't think that you'll get in situations, at least with how the game is right now, where this guy will be in trouble. I feel like in the new fights, though, you might see this run out potentially in more situations compared to before. But he still will have guard and 50% reduction and the active skill defense and everything like that. And even then, like, you could run this character in slot 2, like, and have in Broly slot 1, right? So that's also not an issue. I think what keeps me from having this guy at 1, the only thing that keeps me having this guy at 1 is that he doesn't have a team protector. That's why I think Beast is still the best thing in the game. Like, if I was going to rank them. Now, the thing about Beast is he does, again, he starts out with the guard at 60% reduction, right? You know, that's just a thing that he has, and he can build up to 80%. But he does have to either receive a lot of attacks or do a lot of attacks. And even then, this extra 40% is just for 5 turns, right? But, I mean, like, if you know what you're doing, I don't really see where this guy would actually die, right? In the game, like, unless you set him up for failure, it doesn't, like, it's not a situation where he does die. And then this team protector ability, it's his next turn, so this works in short fights, this works in long fights. Like, I guess the one thing is that he can get like sealed, but when you have this up, he does not take damage. No. And then this also helps him, if you use it early on, it also helps him get his extra reduction. So, like, if you use this on turn 3, and then turn 5 you finish the fight off, well, this guy has 80% damage reduction that turn, so right? Or you could use this active skill after this runs out, and he still has guard plus 40% reduction, plus the huge extra defense boost. He's supporting all allies key 3, right? He then could also give all allies extra key 2, right? He gives he can get guaranteed crit eventually, which he doesn't really hit that hard, but still, like, this guy is just like straight up good. He's not doing anything bad, and he's on so many teams. He's unrestricted. It's a lot. And it's really the team protector mechanic plus like his consistency throughout the entire battle that has me at like placing him at 1 in this list. But again, like, if you want to do this, I don't care, right? If you want to do this, like, I don't know, something like this, sure, you could do that. Like, these characters are very interchangeable. I would say 5-1 is where I'm like, you could exchange, I think, all of these characters up here 100%. Like you could definitely do that. Then like I think these characters are interchangeable as well. Yeah, even these two, but like I wouldn't put like AJ above and Broly, right? Maybe more so like these characters and then these three in this own spot, but yeah. No, I this I feel comfortable with this. And yeah, I don't know. This is what I'm feeling leading into 10th anniversary. Again, some people would disagree with the exact placements. Oh my god, this is a 50-minute recording? Oh no, this is not 50 minutes. I'm stupid. Oh god, I can't read. Anyways, let me know what you guys are thinking, where you guys replace the different characters. That's it for me. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.